Merc Media.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. Steven.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks. If you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangled and were locked down?
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you are watching us on Iconic, Rockfin, Odyssey, Fan.video, you're listening wherever podcasts are served, or you're listening to us on Fringe FM. Thank you so much. We realize that you have, according to the last numbers I saw, 2.8 million other podcasts to choose from. So the fact that you decided to spend an hour or so with me is very much appreciated. Thank you so much. Hey, look, I mentioned Iconic. They wanted me to pass along a note to you guys. If you're interested in trying out their platform before you buy it, there's a link in the show notes. It'll get you 10 free days. You can check out what they're doing. They've got a big health and wellness component to it. Besides David Icke's work, all of that, they're doing weekly shows. They're building out a television network there. It's pretty impressive. It's also coming to America, like King Joffrey Joffrey, they're going to be in Austin pretty soon. So excited. If you're interested in trying out Iconic, go ahead and give it a shot. Link is in the description. They've been home to macroaggression since we started. So we certainly do appreciate their support along the way. Hey, look, I am going to beat this dead horse until I know for a fact that all of my audience is ready for what's coming. We've got supply chain issues. We've got food shortages. We've got food processing plants blowing up. We have Joe Biden talking about how everyone's going to be hungry at some point. We have fertilizer shortages because Russia's not exporting. We have wheat issues because of Ukraine. We've got big problems when it comes to the food situation. Now, you've got to get prepared. You have to be proactive on this. I don't care if you use my sponsor or if you're just supplementing by buying extra food at the grocery store every time you go. Just do something, please. Be proactive. Be ahead of the curve on this. My Patriot Supply has been nice enough to build out a landing page for us that we've been using for a while. It's preparewithmacroaggressions.com. You can go on there right now. They'll give you discounts on a 3-month supply of food, on a 4-week supply of food, whatever you need. They've got it there. They've got water filtration, air purification. They have camping supplies. They have cooking gear. They've got pretty much everything. It's a one-stop shop. So if you're thinking about taking care of yourself, your friends, your family, maybe there's a family member that lives out of state and you want to send some food to them as a nice gesture just so that you know they're taken care of, go for it. Take care of all your shopping in one stop. Go to our My Patriot Supply link. It's in the description. Preparewithmacroaggressions.com. That'll save you some money and it'll also help to support the show. We certainly do appreciate them. We hope you don't need it, but this is a situation where you're better off being, a month early than a day late. So be proactive. You listen to these crazy ass shows here. You're going to hear information that nobody else is talking about. I mean, if you're waiting for Anderson Cooper to tell you to get ready, that food shortages are coming, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are going to be waiting. You're going to be stuck, fighting some asshole at Del Taco for the last 59-cent burrito. So you don't want to be in that situation. Let's get proactive. And of course, thanks to one of our longest running sponsors, Chemical Free Body. If you are so inclined, you can go to chemicalfreebody.com/macro and see what Tim James put me through last summer. The detox in a box, man, it leaned me out good. And if you don't believe me, guess who's here to talk about it? It's Tim James, everybody, the health hero. How are you, Tim? Good to see you again.
Charlie, I'm doing awesome. And proof's in the pudding, because when they go to that page you just mentioned, the Chemical Free Body /macro, Charlie actually shot a video and sent it over to me, because I challenged you way back in the day. I was like, hey, just do the full program that what I put on a VIP one-on-one coaching student. And you did it on your own. And I said, let's give it 90 days. And I think it was like 60 days. You shot the video and sent it over. It wasn't even 90 or something like that. It was like
75 days. I did it in 75 days.
It was shorter than 90, and you had to. And spoiler alert, he takes his shirt off. So,
yeah,
live. It's live.
So I will be full disclosure for everyone. I am 5'11". Normally, I am 160 pounds. I'm pretty lean. I'm in good shape. I go to the gym a lot, but I'm not like a guy that lifts like heavy weights. I'm not like that guy. When I started the program, I was 160 pounds. After those 75 days, I was 146 pounds. Now, that's a little too light for me. I wasn't doing the program to lose weight. I did know it was a possible side effect, but I figured I didn't have any weight to lose. So I certainly wasn't expecting to lose 14 pounds in 75 days with my body, with my frame, the way I'm built. I didn't expect that. So that kind of caught me off guard. That's why I said I took the shirt off, and it was more to show that how my pants didn't fit, and my shorts did not fit anymore. I had belts on and all kinds of makeshift things to try. I finally just went out and bought new pants because it was too much of a pain in the ass. But that's look. What was the difference? The difference was the detox in a box. I mean, period. That's what it was. It leaned me out. I don't understand exactly how it all works. I just know that the gut detox, the toxin detox, the ultra enzymes, the probiotics, and green 85, and that was it. It's not. And it's like 5 minutes, right? The most time intensive part of that is adding the powder to the water, stirring it up, and drinking it. Everything else is just capsules that you take. So I don't want to turn this into an infomercial for it, but if you're at a position in your life, where you're like, well, I've been putting off taking care of myself, or it's always been, manana. Oh, well, we'll do it later. Or I'm worried about I'm taking care of my kids. I don't have time to take care of myself. Like, you have to make time for yourself. And I think now is probably the time to stop making excuses and just jump into it. So I highly recommend it. I've been put through the ringer. You sent me over more stuff too. I've got, and I've got to talk about this because this was kind of funny. You sent over this is V-Stack, which is vitamins. This is vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, quercetin. Oh, if I'm not mistaken, all the things that you were supposed to be taking during COVID that they refused to tell you, right? That's all in here. And then you sent over multi-shrooms, which is also a liquid. This is chaga mushrooms, lion's mane, fulvic and humic acid, reishi mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, maitake mushrooms. And I'll tell you what, I got to be honest with you, Tim. You send me a bottle of liquid mushrooms and I fill it up and it's brown liquid. And I'm going, oh God damn it. This is going to taste like hell. I just know this liquid mushrooms. And I said, but I told Tim I'd do it. I'm going to do it. I put it in my mouth. It tastes like 7-Up. So thank you. Thank you so much for not making this taste.
It'll get better too. That was our first run, and we've wait till you. Spoiler alert, but I don't know. Whenever we run out of the first batch, you're going to get a little chocolate surprise for the next one.
Well, thank God it doesn't taste like liquid mushrooms, because I thought I was going to gag.
No, it's
if
bad.
It was going to do that, I was going to gag.
Yeah, we can talk about those products because they're very special. But I want to go back to. You were 160 pounds, in case somebody was sitting there going, well, dude, I don't want to get that skinny. Right. Yeah, because I want to break this down. So when you are consuming more standard American diet, things that are more highly processed and irradiated and pasteurized and just messed around with from when it came out of the soil until it went into your mouth, what ends up happening is there's things that bioaccumulate. Plus, on top of it, we have all the toxins. You guys, I've been on before. If you guys are new listeners, you have to type in these 3 words when you get done with the show, and that's umbilical cord and chemical. It's very important. That's my mission in life, is to shine the light on and give people awareness on how polluted you actually are. Nobody can escape this. Every single child being born from those studies going back to 2005 shows that there's they look for 400 toxic chemicals in the umbilical cord blood serum, and they find 250 or 71% of what they're looking for. I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. And 180 of those chemicals cause cancer in humans, and 212 cause developmental and brain disorders. And they were only looking for 400 chemicals, Charlie, which means we have a massive problem, because there's over 100,000 toxic chemicals out there used in commerce today in commercial applications in various things, whether it's Roundup, on your corn, or they're enriching your kid's cereal with synthetic acid-based vitamins that aren't from nature. All those things are bioaccumulating in not only our children's tissue, but our tissue, because remember, in the umbilical cord blood, that's also the mom's blood. Okay. And she's probably in her 20s or 30s when she's having this kid. And I've seen women that have gotten really healthy have kids in their 80s, or not 80s, but 40s. Just kidding. Well, it's possible. You go to the Bible. I mean, people are like popping out kids in their 80s, right? But so if you want to get back to that, which is what we want to do, we want you to be able to have kids in your 80s. You want to have a healthy immune system.
Not according to the left. They want to abort the shit out of them, man. They don't want 80-year-olds having kids.
Oh God. Well, anyway, so the whole point is that I'm very happy that what happened for you is because we all have a certain amount of fat on our body. Now, every pound of fat over what we actually need, up goes, the disease causing factors, and especially because the fat and the muscle tissue house these toxic chemicals. So what was really cool, Charlie, is what happened to you, which has happened to me as well, and a lot of other people, is we have to look at our bodies that were built with glue and paste. And when you start really drinking lots of purified, restructured water and taking our very, clean, alkalizing, herbal-based products, food-based products, and these things are going to go in, and they're going to start cleaning up on a cellular level and intercellular, in between the cells, right? And it's going to start pulling all this garbage out, cleaning up the intestinal tract on the micro level, and those little hair-like structures, those villi, cleaning them up very gently, cleaning up the cells of the blood, the fat, and the muscle tissue. And what happened is that now it allowed your body a chance to release that fat. That fat was actually holding on to toxins. So as the toxins came out first, that's step one. Then after that, the fat comes out. So what we're doing now is that you actually are able to get rid of the glue and paste, and now you're rebuilding your body back with brick and mortar. So a lot of times people will lose weight and their body will readjust, and then they'll come back. Now we have people that call us that want to gain weight too. And that's great. Whether you're going to gain weight, lose weight, or your weight's fine, but maybe it's just, you need to change the ratio of, your lean body mass to your fat ratio or whatever. And we see this a lot of times with women, where women will get on the program and they're like, well, I haven't really lost any weight, but then they're like, but my clothes are fitting differently. Like literally the shape of their body starts changing. So for women, I just tell you, like, look, I know you want to lose the weight tomorrow because the wedding's next weekend, but the reality is this is a lifestyle. Okay. This isn't take a pill and tomorrow you're better program. And for women, with all the hormonal stuff going on and all the hormonal disruption going on for both men and women, but I think it affects women more because of they got the 28-day cycle and premenopause and postmenopause and all this stuff going on with all the toxic chemicals that are out there in the water and the microplastics. Women, it takes usually about 4 to 5 months on our program for the hormones to kind of regulate and the body to kind of clean up, and then the weight comes off. Now, I have seen other times where women will, drop, like we had this one gal that was a nurse. She dropped 23 pounds the first month and her husband dropped 12. That's rare, but it does happen. It was like a flip flop, but usually the dudes lose the weight quicker. So anyway, I just want to let you know, I just want everybody to know that when you lost that weight, your body is a very intelligent system. And when you were changing the inputs, it allowed it to kind of clean itself up at a deeper level than it ever had before, because there was a bunch of fat in there that still had a bunch of crap in it. Now that's swept out of you. So overall, you're going to be a much healthier individual long-term now, because you've got to a root problem, which is your body on a micro level was completely polluted with these no-see-em toxic chemicals. And you got to get that stuff out. Whether you see them or not, they're there.
Yeah, well, you talked about a lifestyle change. And when I think of lifestyle change, I think of just, scrapping everything that you're doing and having to do everything, a whole new regiment, completely different than how you're used to. That really wasn't the case at all. I did everything I was doing before. I just mixed up the drink and drank it in the morning. And then I took they were capsules. So it was like 3 of this, 3 from this one, 3 from that one, 2 from that one, and 2 from the other one. It was like capsule and water. If that's a lifestyle change, and the lifestyle change requires 5 whole minutes of my time, I could manage that. That seemed reasonable to me. I didn't really know what to expect. Frankly, I didn't know if it was going to be, when you said detox in a box, it's oh my God, am I going to feel it? Am I going to feel I'm my stomach hurts all the time? I didn't get any of that. I didn't notice that. In fact, it took me a while before I even had any weight loss, but I felt like I was shot out of a cannon though. I felt like I was going at a higher RPM or whatever. Anyway, it felt good. I think if people,
that's usually what happens. The first 30 days is more energy and more mental clarity. That's usually what most people.
Yeah. And it's really, it's easy to quantify pounds, but mental clarity, how do you measure that? It's tough to sort of measure it. You either know it when you're feeling better. You'll recognize the contrast to how you felt before. But look, I feel like this is part of this show. Macroaggressions is about talking about what we see out there, honestly about what we see, what we can do to prevent these horrible things coming our way, what we can do to get ourselves out of the way, how we can improve our lifestyle so that we're better equipped for it. And I just think that that's why you've been on the show more than anybody, more than any other guest, because I think that the health component the health component is so essential. You can't fight the new world order like Alex Jones if you feel like shit. You have to take care of yourself. You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. In the air, when the airplane tells you, right, before you put it on your kid. You've got to take care of yourself first. You've got to prioritize that. And I think that one of the things, especially for us in America, is that we are just completely and utterly bombarded with misinformation in the media, misinformation about where our food comes from, what's in it, the labels that are on it. And one of the things that you were on our Union of the Unwanted show that we did with food, obviously you had to be there to talk about all this stuff. But I want to talk about the labeling that's changed lately. And these big Agra food companies have realized that sometimes the products that they put in their the high fructose corn syrup that they're putting in their products has a really bad reputation. They know that. We know that. So they've done marketing 101, which is just rebranding, right? So they're changing the names of these things. So I think it's important for us to get sort of educated on this, and I'm hoping you can provide that education so that we can understand, so that we can read the labels and understand what the new words actually mean, because they aren't some brand new product necessarily. It's just a disguise for some of the poisons that they've been feeding us for a long time. So let's do a little label education. What are we seeing? What's getting rebranded, and what should we be keeping our eyes open when we're at the grocery store?
Well, it's such an important topic. We believe that, awareness is the first step, right? So the biggest problem we face today is simply a lack of education. For years, I just walk into the store and pick stuff off the shelf and go home and eat it, right? Yeah. And no big deal. Wasn't thinking about it. I wouldn't have thought that I could go into a store and put something that was in the ingredients list actually causes cancer in humans, yet it was in the store. To me, as a decent human being, that doesn't even register that would be allowed, right?
Right.
So the whole thing is, and I get into this debate a lot of times where, I, especially with, high, really brilliant, smart medical people. I know this one guy, a neighbor, he sells medical equipment, and his wife is actually a high level medical researcher, data analysis type stuff. These people are highly intelligent people. And we were talking about masks and stuff, and he was and I asked him about his opinion. Well, his daughter has a very severe issue, and if she gets a cold, she could die. So I said, what is your opinion on masks? He's like, I think everybody should wear one. It's freaking ridiculous they don't. And I was like, okay. So that was his belief system. And obviously he's a smart dude, but he believes that he wants to protect his daughter. He's a decent person. Right. So, we start talking about it. And I said, dude, I have a study here, an abstract on the study that you can read. And here's the abstract. I gave it to him. And I said, this was done before COVID. And it shows that what actually happens to masks and how it disrupts the airflow, which raises the acidity in the mouth because the temperature goes up, and then the 4 bad bacteria in the mouth of the 700 oral microbiome that you have grow and proliferate. One of them is gingivitis, and that's why dentists have reported a 50% increase in tooth rot, gum disease, and rotting and cracking teeth. It's called mask mouth. And he's like, well, and he's like, I find it hard to believe, Tim, that the FDA, the WHO, the CDC, Fauci, and all these people are all singing the same tune. And he goes, I think I'm going to just stick with my cards over there. They're the experts and stuff like that. And he goes, and he goes, so how do you explain that? And I said, well, they're corrupt at the top. And he's like, I have friends that work at the FDA. They're nice people. They're not corrupt. I said, at the top, they're corrupt. And then he's like, well, I don't agree with you. And then I said, well, what do you think's causing it? I said, well, what about the food, dude? Or he said, he actually brought that up. He said, I said, well, I know what I said. So I said, well, why are Americans the sickest people to ever walk in the history of the face of the earth, mankind? Why? He's like, well, I think that's more of a food problem because the food's messed up and corrupted. And I said, dude, the FDA stands for the Food and Drug Administration. So you can't have them be angels on the drug side, but then what about the food side? They're angels over there too? I said, dude, it's corrupt. And he's like, it was like a light bulb went off, and he was like, huh. And he never thought of it that way before, right? Because he knew the food was the problem, but who's monitoring the food? It's the same organization monitoring the drugs.
And it's a logical step, right? I felt the same way. Clearly, if this is going to cause you understand smoking is going to potentially give you cancer, and you recognize that, and it seems stupid. But even our grandparents were like, smoking is fine. Everyone was smoking. So there's blindness, there's blind spots for sure. But I would walk into the grocery store and think the same thing you did, which is, well, look, I understand that some of this is like high in sugar, and that's maybe not the best, but surely they're not putting chemicals in there that are directly causing cancer, and yet they are. And the FDA, who's supposed to be in charge of regulating this stuff, turns a blind eye to it, or they approve things that shouldn't be approved. They approve aspartame because Donald Rumsfeld got involved and got it passed after they spent a decade trying to get it approved, and they wouldn't approve it because it was killing all the mice or giving half of them tumors, and Rumsfeld got it approved. So there's fraudulence happening in all of these organizations. And I think that this, obviously my audience and your audience know this. We talk about this quite a bit, but for the normie out there in your family that has no access to this information or no interest in it, they're walking around in this belief, this assumption that the FDA is there to protect them, and really, of course, they should be there to protect them, but they're not. And we know that there is a little bit more to this story. So it's fascinating that the regulatory agencies that are tasked with helping us or preventing us from being exposed to harmful chemicals are in fact the biggest pushers of it.
Yeah. And it's frustrating watching it too, because on the news we'll pick up like somebody at a school shooting or a grocery store shooting or a shooting at a church, and then they blow it up and then they try to take away your guns, your Second Amendment right. But we in this country right now, we have about 3,000 people dying every 2 days from cancer. So we have a 9/11 event every 2 days in this country just with cancer. And where's the coverage on that? And everything that we're talking about here, whether it's sodium lauryl sulfate in your, which is a cancer causing agent that's in your shampoos and soaps, or it's fluoride that will, dumb you down. And it's aluminum byproduct from aluminum industry and they convinced us that it helps with cavities. Look, it's just like, it's crazy. Toxins like that. We're going to get into a bunch of stuff, but all these things are causing cancer. Polysorbate 80, it's actually in the vaccines. Like, yeah, it causes cancer. It's in there. They put it in there as a stabilizer. So all that stuff is microscopically coming in. It's just like, you can't see it, but you should get just as mad as somebody shooting a bunch of kids in the school and get upset about that, because 3,000 people every 2 days are dying of cancer, and almost everything in the grocery store is contributing to it. That's where we're at today. People have to have that level of awareness. And if you actually go back to the school shootings, and you can actually get some information on the shooters almost every single time, over 90% of the time where I've done homework on this, because I got pissed about this years ago. Those once again, the are causing the shooting. So it's like they're like, oh, we gotta ban guns, we gotta do all this. It's like, no, how about anybody who's on pharmaceutical drugs can't buy a gun, number one. And then number two, how about cracking down when we know almost every time they're on Facebook, they're at school saying stuff way ahead of time, multiple warnings, but nobody's doing anything about it and had all the information there years in some cases before, where these people are going off the handle. And it's because their brains are messed up. If you read the side effects on some of these drugs, it's like suicidal thoughts and aggression and this kind of stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, they're chemically messed up, and that's what's making them crazy. So it's like, if that's the case, then it's very simple. Put some armed guards at the frickin' schools. Number one, I mean, you put armed guards at banks protecting money, but we're not protecting our children. That's frickin' stupid. And I'm sure at the school you've got you might have every school's probably got 2 or 3 retired military vets or cops working in there, and they could be packing, and they could have guards out there. We could put if you're on pharmaceutical drugs, like I said, you shouldn't be able to, have a gun. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. If you're on the type that would cause that kind of effect, and then prevention and stuff. But anyway, I want to put this in context because like people are dying. Okay. If people are dying, and up unto that, your quality of life sucks because you're literally, I look at it this way, Charlie. It's like, imagine you having a 80-pound backpack or 60-pound backpack on your back 24/7. And inside of it is a can of toxins, and there's a little pinhole in the can, and it's leaking slightly into your back, and you're packing that around all the time. Yeah. Well, now let's look at every cell in your body. They all are packing around a little backpack with a little leak in it, and it's dripping toxins into them. That's the environment that our body and our cells is bathed in. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the personal care products we put on our hair, our deodorant, in our mouth, toothpaste, all these things microscopically coming in. And just to visualize every cell in your body toxic with the little backpacks getting poisoned on a daily basis. That's where we're at. So what we teach people is let's get the awareness, and now let's put some strategies in place to start sweeping this crap out on a daily basis, because it's always coming in. Yeah. That's why we believe in a daily detox and daily regeneration. Because right now we are de-evolving as a species, Charlie. We have to get back into evolution so that we can, like raise our consciousness and ascend, right? We have to, we really need to raise our consciousness, and it's hard to do when you're all dumbed down on these processed foods and sugars and things that are stimulating our brain.
Yeah, for sure. If the SSRI drugs don't cause you to lose your mind and go shoot up a school, well, then you're masked up as a kid, and that's causing, like you mentioned, mask mouth and the problems with gingivitis and things like that. But look, we're ignoring the elephant in the room, which is that in the schools we have an obesity problem. And this is carrying on.
Maybe it's because you can get Taco Bell and McDonald's in a school. Like when I was in high school back in the 80s, it was like there was a hamburger line in high school. You could have a hamburger every day if you wanted to, like every day. And a lot of times I did because I like friggin' hamburgers, Yeah. But the worst ingredients possible, the absolute worst, and the buns and all that, the gluten and the all the stuff. It's like terrible. So
let's learn how to
read those labels.
Let's educate ourselves on what these words on the back of our cans of food mean, if we're even still buying cans of food anymore, because we know high fructose corn syrup is no good, but it has been rebranded. What are we looking for now?
All right, it's a war in the store, Charlie. Here we go. Okay. Gotta protect ourselves. Yeah, so I'm just going to go over, I have over at chemicalfreebody.com. If you join our group coaching community, inside of there, you actually get free access to over $2,500 worth of our manuals. One of those manuals is our Chemical Free Body shopping guide to ideal health. So in there, there's a section on the top 10 most toxic ingredients found in food. The top 10, just to cover the basics. I mean, there's a lot of them, but this will get people by pretty good. So the first one is natural and artificial flavors. They're basically the same. Both of them are mostly chemicals in almost all cases. So by law, for like 70 years, if it says natural flavors on it, only 10% needs to be actually naturally occurring. The other 90% can be chemical. In almost every case, they are, because it's cheaper. Chemicals are much cheaper to be made in the lab than to go out and gather something by hand in nature. So if you see the word natural flavors, turn around and run to the door. Do not walk. Get the hell out of there. It's not something you want to put in your body. But it pisses me off because a young mom's in there, and it's like she's trying to take care of her kids or a dad, and they're looking like, oh, natural flavors. Okay, good. And, they're busy. They don't think. That is, those people are writing that and allowing that should be put in jail. Okay, number 2, color additives. Red dye number 40, blue dye number 1, yellow dye number 5, just to name a few. These are all modern food dyes derived from petroleum. They're basically an unnatural dye, and it's off limits. And I did an expose on Paws Easter eggs and just Easter egg dyes years and years ago. And almost all of those dyes are those. That's what it's in there. The blue number 1, yellow number 5, and are almost every case. So think about it. We're going out and having fun with our kids, and we're giving them cancer when the dyes leach into the eggs when they crack them open, because sometimes the eggs are cracked a little bit and they get in there and the eggs are blue or yellow and stuff, and we're eating that, and our kids are, and they're touching that shit when they're making the eggs, and you're supposed to have a good time with them, and you're freaking it's like they're getting us. They're in the most like little magical, sweetest little moments in our lives with our children and our grandchildren. They're jamming something up the rear end on you, hardcore to your kids, right? This or not, that's the reality of it. Okay, number 3, nitrates and nitrites. These are toxic preservatives designed to give gray meat a red. Will think it's fresh. It wrecks your liver and your kidneys, and it causes a host of chronic issues. So think about walking into a grocery store, and 40% of the meat is gray in there. You're probably going to be like over in the corner, like, Tommy Boy throwing up, right?
Right.
And the new guy's in the corner puking his guts out, right?
Right.
And comes the meat wagon. Well, this meat wagon has 40% gray meat in it, and people would probably get the hell out of that store and start not trusting it, because what else are they not doing to you? Now, the store owners and stuff, they got shelf space. They're pushing whatever sells. But think about that. Would you want to eat a gray slab of meat? Well, in 40% of the case, you are, if it says nitrates or nitrites. So look out for that. That's also with canned salmon and all that kind of stuff. All right. Number 4, soy lecithin. This is a very common emulsifier that's used in our food supply. So what an emulsifier is like, let's say you have a shake, a protein shake or something, and you shake it up, and then, the ingredients will settle. Well, God dang it, Americans don't want to have to shake something twice. That is way too much work, Charlie.
Yes, it is.
So companies put in these emulsifiers so that when you shake it, it all stays separate and even, right? You don't have to shake it again. Whew, they saved you from all that extra work.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you. But the problem is it causes allergic reaction. So GM, not want them in your body, because GM, when you take a food that's genetically modified, you're disrupting that plant's internal metabolism. And instead of producing glutathione wants and desires, it starts producing formaldehyde. Yourself, then eat GMO. Definitely one of them. Okay, number 5, bad oils. 90% plus of corn and soy is GMO'd and sprayed with chemicals. You want to avoid this at all costs. 100% organic oils in dark glass jars. And you want to try to get them made within the last 6 months. And if you get it made in the last month, even better, right? Because when you take an oil out of a nut or a seed or whatever you pull it out of, it's going to start degrading. That's why you want the dark glass to protect it from the sun, those UV rays. And I also put it in the cupboard too. I do not have oil setting out in the cupboard where light can be hitting them. They should be always in the dark.
Well, what is the seed oil is the new boogeyman that we hear about. Can you explain? Are there good seed oils and bad seed oils, or
canola?
How do we approach this?
Canola is actually called rapeseed, but they changed it to canola because people don't like the word rape, right? So but the reality is that that oil, if I remember right, kind of rapes the land. It's not good for growing, but it's very profitable. But even ancient Chinese texts, my formulator is a master, Dr. Treadway is a master herbalist in Chinese herbology as well, besides Indian and Western. And he said that the ancient Chinese texts going back 10,000 years said that canola oil should never be consumed by humans. It only should be used for machinery. Only for machinery. But look in your things, canola oil and corn oil. stuff like that. So, so for seeds, just make sure if you're going to have any seed oil that the seeds are heirloom seeds that they used and they were grown in high quality soil. You have to know where the soil is. The soil is just as important as the seed. Okay, number 6, xanthan gum. This is another emulsifier, and it's made of mutated corn syrup, which is most likely 92% GMO, and it's fermented in bacteria. So this exact thing right here, xanthan gum, was the first ingredient that I saw on a label on a can that I'd done the research as a coach, found it for myself and my coaching students, and all of a sudden, bloop, xanthan gum's on my new label. And I'm like, what? And I went and looked at the other label and it wasn't on there. They didn't even tell me, Charlie. They just started putting it in there. It was the same thing. It's so you don't have to shake up. It's just like the soy lecithin, but they use xanthan gum. So it's just nasty. Who wants to put mutated corn syrup fermented in bacteria in your food? I don't.
No.
Okay. Number 7, monosodium glutamate, MSG. A lot of people are familiar with that. It's highly toxic to the brain and nervous system of childs. It's bad on your digestive tract and cause Alzheimer's, dementia, or Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, Parkinson's. And you got to watch out for the other names they hide it under, such as natural flavoring. There it is again. Caseinate, vegetable extract, protein concentrate, soy isolate, and caramelized yeast. They hide MSG under all those labels. That's what Charlie was talking about earlier. It's like, it's very deceptive. It's bullshit. Okay, number 8, carrageenan. This is a thickening agent. It's high in sulfur and causes inflammation and destroys your good gut bacteria. It weakens your immune system. Number 9, citric acid. Used enhancing flavor and as a preservative as well. It's mostly GMO with bad corn, sugar, beets, bad for the digestive and respiratory system and causes heartburn along with itchy eyes and skin. Now, I will say this. We have I didn't want to do it, but just because I talk bad about citric acid because of this, but there's a naturally occurring citric acid that it can actually be done, and that's in our V-Stack product. So it's from natural fruits. So just to be clear, so people aren't going, hey, he said one thing. Number 10, because it's all about education, right? You have to get that. You have to have that deep knowledge on it to make sure you're getting good stuff. Number 10 is expeller pressed oils. This is a big one I talk about a lot because I was a potato chip freak show growing up. Okay. I freaking love chips. I love crunchy chips. I love those corn chips, chili cheese. I mean, dude, I love that stuff. Right. So
me too.
I got a little upset because when I was at Hippocrates, they introduced us to a term called lipid peroxide. Well, what is that? Well, lipid is a fat and a peroxide. So lipid peroxide. So it's a fat peroxide. When you take oils and you heat them up over a certain temperature, every oil turns into a lipid peroxide. These are known carcinogens or cancer causers. It's like, okay. So what does that mean? That's why fried foods aren't really that good. So what we do is like when we take something like a mung bean or a lentil tempeh, we'll cook it dry in a pan and brown it up. And then we take it out and we take a cold pressed oil. We maybe squirt some Bragg's liquid aminos in there, maybe some garlic powder, onion powder, whatever you want to smoke paprika, stir it up. Now you got your flavoring and then you baste it on that afterwards. And you get the same type of flavor, but without cooking the oil. Well, another way that they cook the oil is called expeller pressing. Now, inadvertently, the oil gets cooked because an expeller press machine does just that. It presses out the oil, and this is a big, strong metal machine, and like nuts and seeds go through it. And it's that high pressure creates high temperatures. So expeller press machines get hot, they run hot, and they heat up those oils, and they cause the lipid peroxides. Now, check your labels on your chip bags because you're in for a rude awakening. You're going to see expeller pressed oils in many of the chips. So when you're buying chips, you want to look for things like coconut oil and avocado oil. Stay away. And even if it's a good oil, it cannot be expeller pressed. So that's the top 10 of the most toxic ingredients you can find in food, Charlie.
Okay, cool. Well, we know that, I guess we've been trained over the last 15, 20 years to look for organic foods. Organic foods used to not be labeled organic foods. It was just foods, that's just what it was. Yeah. Then we had to differentiate because it was like, processed foods versus organic foods. And so organic foods were a little bit more, they weren't GMOs, they weren't processed, they were organic foods. They were as nature intended it to be. But now that term has been compromised, and there's certain allocations that are made for for organic that allows you to have things in there that are not good for you. So what happened to the word organic? How did it get hijacked, and what is hiding behind that?
Well, it really depends on who's using the word. If it's the USDA, another government agency, now they allow, the whole point of organic was it's organic. It means, supposed to mean nature. So the word we like to use is called naturally occurring because it's very clear. It's naturally occurring. It occurs only in nature. So naturally occurring is really the term, and the label we should be following, which is the NOSG label, which is Naturally Occurring Standards Group, which I'm on the board of directors of. It's a very small organization. We have it on our labels and a few other ones. It's a big project that we want to take out to the world. Excuse me. When we get to it, but definitely a passion project. So anyway, the USDA label's been compromised. So I learned about this years ago when I was talking to. I'd go to farmers markets to get food, and I'd go there. I'd go to certain farmers market on Wednesday, and I go to another one on Saturday. So twice a week, I'd go to the farmers market. Really enjoyed it. They're playing music. People are hanging out. Kids are dancing. People are getting outside, meeting other people. It's a great way to shop, and it's a great way to support your local farmers, which they're basically the doctors out there, but they're bringing you the medicine, the freshest food. Food is medicine. Hippocrates said, let thy medicine be thy food, and thy food be thy medicine. And that's exactly what you're doing when you go support local farmers that grow without chemicals. So what ended up happening was I'd ask these people, is this organic? Because I was on that, has to be organic. And then I started talking to farmers, and they were like, no, we don't do the USD organic anymore. And I'm like, how come? Well, because they don't really test anything, Tim. And the more money we make, the more paperwork we have to fill out, and the more money we have to give them. And then we find out that they allow over 150 chemicals in the USDA organic label now. I mean, our first product, Green 85, it's on the label design, and I keep it there. It's almost like marketing just to get people to make them, because they feel comfortable with the USDA label. But they shouldn't feel comfortable with it. I literally want to rip it off there. But I'd probably have to pay $1,000 to redesign label. But maybe I'll do that eventually. But the rest of my products don't have that on there because we don't want it on there. It's like, I don't want that stupid freaking thing because it doesn't mean anything. But we have NOSG label on there, which means it's everything, every ingredient, every damn thing in there is naturally occurring in nature. So when you're shopping and picking out produce as an example, there's these things called PLU stickers. I know you wanted me to chat about this. So if it says on it, if the sticker starts with a 9, that means it's organically grown. Now, that's probably a better choice than the rest. So even though there could be up to 150 chemicals in it, it's way better than these other ones. The other ones are, if it starts with a 4, the number 4, that means it was conventionally grown. And what that means is pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, larvicides, and all that stuff. And it can be grown in human feces. And people are like, what? What are you talking about? Well, at waste treatment plants, what they used to have to do after they treated the water, because poop and pee goes down all the sewer pipes and goes to the waste treatment plant in these big cities, and they treat it. And there's over 60,000 toxic chemicals in that soup, right? And then they would treat it, and then they have to pay to get rid of it. Well, they couldn't do it anymore because of the cost. So what they do now is they actually sell it as what, and they renamed it. Remember what Charlie said earlier, they like to rename things. So they don't want to call it, human, waste matter or something like that, or, whatever, some actual name that it is, but they call it biosolids, and they sell it to farmers as cheap alternative fertilizer. So literally a lot of these foods, if your sticker on your vegetables or fruit says with a 4, you have a high probability that you're eating foods that were grown in human feces, which is not that big of a deal because of the cycle of life. And, if you went outside and pooped on the ground and the UV rays were hitting it and the flies would come in and the bugs, they'll just, and it's part of the cycle of life, and it's actually good for everything. But it's the 60,000 toxic chemicals, because when you think about it, think about all the people, all the old folks and younger people too, taking pharmaceutical drugs. The average person in America has got about, I think on 5, the average 80-year-old's taking 13 drugs. Every chemotherapy medication, bipolar medication, anybody taking depression medication, anybody taking or anything like that, you're urinating and defecating that into the toilet, and all that's going into that waste treatment plant. So your food is being sprayed with biosolids and grown in that stuff. That's what if it starts with the number 4. The next one is GMOs. If that PLU sticker starts with the number 3, that means it was genetically modified. Again, we're disrupting the plant's internal metabolism, and it's not making glutathione anymore. It's making formaldehyde. So you're actually eating foods that are embalming you as well. So that's how you read the label. So go with a 9. Even better, go to your local farmer's market, support your local farmers, find ones that say, we don't grow with chemicals. We don't believe in the USD label, and that have a clue. And you'll be able to tell by the produce and the color of it and the taste, how good it is. And then also another litmus test is for those that have the that K8 water machine that we talk about. You can actually soak your vegetables in 11.5 water, and very, very quickly you'll tell whether there's pesticides in there or not. Because if you do that, which we recommend anyway, and it's good farmer, and they said no chemicals, then you won't see nothing. You might see a little dirt come off, and the water will be pretty clear. But if they sprayed, you'll see brown, like more yellows, and you'll see a different, these pesticides will literally just come right out of the plants in that 11.5 water. So that's another thing people can do to test their water and to make sure their plants are clean.
Yeah. Well, we got into this a little bit on the Union of the Unwanted show. I recommend that for anyone that hasn't seen it already. The food episode, we released it middle of April. It had you, Jim Gale, Miriam Hanane, B Lady. She's, all these people that have a relationship with the food industry. We were talking about a variety of things, but one of the topics that came up, it's obviously one of the most important topics to get into, is water. And look, not all water is created equal. That's obvious. But not all water purification systems are created equal either. And we put the word out. Talk to us about water. Tell us what you think is the best way to filter it. What are you using? What should we be looking for? What should we be avoiding? What looks like it's a good idea and then in actuality doesn't do jack shit? Like, tell us where we should be going with regard to the water that we put in our bodies.
Okay, cool. So my personal opinion is that, water's in the top 3. The first nutrient is most important is air, because you die without it in about 4 to 7 minutes. Without water, you're dead in 11 days. So it's pretty darn important to your system. Sleep's about 11 days too. So it's, in my opinion, it's that order. It's air, water, sleep, and then food. So as far as, how powerful it is for your body. So if it's number 2, dang it, this is something we really need to get our water right, because your body's freaking mostly made of water, which is nature. But unfortunately, water today is all polluted. Even, I'll try to make this story really small. So water researchers, years ago, 6 of them, they went out all over the world in creeks and brooks and streams and lakes far away from people, 1,500 miles to the interior. Again, these pristine lakes had 2 and 2.5 inch fish had both male and female organs. Why? Because of the estrogen mimickers are so concentrated from the microplastics today, all these chemicals and fertilizers. Just, what is it? Like 74% of the rainwater has glyphosate in it today. 74% of our rainwater. That's how much billions and billions of pounds of glyphosate's been sprayed and continues to be sprayed. I saw a neighbor today spraying it in the ditch down below the field down here. I'm back on the farm now, and it's just like, I was like in the sauna this morning, and I see him. He's out there, and I'm like, I walk my dog down there, and she jumps in the damn water. Now I'm gonna have to be like, Emma, get out of there, because she can only get in the ditch on our section, because right below now it's all sprayed, and you can see where the plants are all dead. And he's spraying it again. It's just like, and he's a good, decent human being. I mean, this is a hardworking farmer, dude. This is a guy, and he's spraying the water right over the ditch, and the water's running in the ditch. So it's not only just hitting the weeds and stuff, it's just going right in the water and down the ditch. Yeah. And guess what? It goes back into you and me. It's getting the lakes and the streams and tributaries. It's everywhere today. So if you don't want to put hormone disrupting chemicals into your body, you have to purify your water today. And people are like, I know there's some people out there going, oh, I get spring water. Well, guess what? A lot of these springs are from underground waterways. We have a gentleman he literally moved to the side of the Colorado Rocky Mountains just to get away from everything. And he started getting sick, and he couldn't figure it out. I went to doctor. And finally one doctor's like, maybe it's your water. And he's like, nah, it can't be my water. I'm on the side of the Colorado Rocky Mountains. I've got the best spring water ever. He said, well, maybe you should test it. He did, because he was so desperate, because he was in such he was so miserable with his health. And he tested it, and guess what? There was toxins in there. what they found out is that there was a 200-mile underground aquifer, and somewhere, in the Midwest where they were fracking, they were disrupting a bunch of heavy metals and toxins, and the underground waterway took it and piped it up in the side of the Colorado Rocky Mountains. People forget that the earth, if you look at, when you pan away from it, the rivers look like veins. The earth is a living organism. It's like a cell, and water and stuff's moving in above it and below it. Under the skin, we have what? We got blood moving under the skin. You can't see it, but it's under there. The same things happen on the earth with our water systems. So all water systems are just compromised today. That's how you have to look at it. And sometimes with these spring waters, they have an extra added attraction that people are not thinking about. There's too many minerals in there that have not been through the root system of a plant. So what that means is that you can actually get hardening of the arteries, gallstones, and kidney stones from over drinking certain types of spring water. So my opinion is that we have to purify our water today. Now, this is probably the biggest investment that we tell people we share with them to do, because water systems aren't the cheapest. But for those that have like no money or want to start off small, you get gallon glass jars. And then you go to your local grocery store and you get at least single purified water that removes 90% of those contaminants. That's either reverse osmosis, deionization, or distillation. It'll be one of those three. You should be able to, for, like I said, 25 to 50 cents a gallon, you'll be able to pack your water. Now, the next best step is you could buy a single purifying unit and put it in your home. The preferred step would be a triple purification unit for your drinking water. That way, the first time it goes through, it pulls out 90% of the contaminants. You got 10% left. You run it through again. You pull out 90% of the 10. You got 1% left. You run it through again. Then you got 0.1. That's how you get 99.9% purified water. But if you're on city tap water, there's an additional step that has to be done. This isn't it's not a want, it's a need. When water goes through high pressure pipes in the city, because it takes a tremendous amount of pressure to push that water from a city water municipality out to all these different houses and to have everybody have, enough pressure to run your showers and, your garden hoses and stuff, right? The water gets coagulated on a molecular level. So normally water's in about a 4 to 5 structure, and it'll get into like 20 to 25 in a cluster. And you can drink it, but it won't go through the intestinal lining very well to get into the bloodstream or to get into your lymphatic system, which is your garbage removal system. This was an absolute eye-opening, game-changing, unbelievable moment in my life in the fall of 2018 when the Scal Danusha told me about this water machine. Now, I'd already known about it, and I thought in my mind it was an alkalizer, right? I said, no, Danusha, you have to have purified water. That unit has a very crude filtration system. It's not a purification system. I don't need it. Alkalized water is very good for people that have cancer and stuff like that, but I'm out of the woods on that kind of stuff, so I don't really need it. Water purified. She wouldn't give up on me. I went over there. I drank the water, and basically I drank 3 quarts of it in a half an hour. And Charlie, I was high on water for 6 hours. For the first time in my life, I had massive absorption of the water. So it wasn't like drink it, pee. It was like I drank a bunch of water and I waited a couple hours and then I peed a lot. So it told me that it was going through my system. Plus I was high on water. So I called her up that night and I got that system. So if you guys want to check out the new
Yo, man, you got some of that water?
Yeah, like, dude.
Knocking on her door at 3 a.m. Yo, you got some of that water?
No, I was like, I have to have it. I'm like, I have to have this. And I was like, how long is it going to take to get here? Because when you feel that good, if I find anything that moves the needle on my health, especially that much, like I'm happy with it going up a half a notch. This took it up like 3 notches, right?
Wow.
When I added concentrated nutrition in years ago, it took me up 2 notches. So what was really cool, Charlie, is I found out about the water. Not only does it helps with the detox, because now you're really getting good absorption on a cellular level from your water, but it also helps the nutrients from the food you eat and the supplements you take. It increases the absorption like 6 to 9 times. It's like,
oh, Jesus,
ridiculous. So
is it a system? What is it? You can buy this system?
Yeah,
or
what I did was I have my triple purification system. So I run through all that. It's a 16-stage system. And then it goes right through there, right into the other unit. And then out it comes. And now I have got water that's not only triple purified, but it's restructured, alkalized, and charged with molecular hydrogen, which is a big deal. So you drink this water, dude, and it's just like, and in the beginning, you got to kind of go slow on it, because you drink it too much too fast. You'll get cold and flu-like symptoms. You'll have detox symptoms just from the water. It is a powerful modality. And I can't remember the name of this Japanese doctor, but he's got all of his cancer patients, he puts them on this water and some other stuff, some herbal stuff. He has never had one person have a relapse with their cancer. Not one.
Wow.
Not one. And I'm not making cancer claims. He did. No. He's got all the research. I can point you to it. But it's just like, for me, I had a first person experience, right? So once I had that, then I have to tell everybody about it. So if you guys want, you can, it's, if you want to get hold of Danusha, because I used to give out our email, but then we get all these support emails. How do you spell Danusha right? Because it's like Polish for Donna. Anyway, it's just go to mypurifiedwater.com and you can book a free consult with Danusha at mypurifiedwater.com.
Wow. That's
your water right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that we're just living in toxicity.
Yeah.
And we've become so normalized to it that we don't even really recognize it. Of course, there's a lot of people out there that are just drinking big gulps of Mountain Dew, and you know that that's bad for you. But even the people that say, I'm going to make the decision to be healthy, I'm going to drink more water, I'm going to do this, even they can step in these rakes everywhere where it's like, well, I'm drinking more water. And it's like, but you're drinking the wrong kind of water and you're not helping yourself. So it's so important for us to have like an understanding of this, to educate ourselves on what, because like if we're sitting around waiting for the FDA or whoever to come out and say, well, this is how you should really be doing it, we'll be waiting forever. They're so compromised. There's no point in us even bothering with them. We just have to, my point is we're responsible for our own education on these topics because the big food is not going to tell us how to, they're not going to tell us that they're feeding us poison. The water, our relationship with water is pretty compromised at this point as well. And, I would say
the fluoride, dude, they put fluoride in frickin'
they put fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to clean your frickin' water.
Exactly. Let's wrap up with this. We're getting into the summer months, or we're now it's like, we're getting there. What do we need? What's our relationship with the sun like? Because I hear a lot of people talking about, you've got to get outside and you got to get sunlight and you've got to get yourself out there. But there's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry of sunscreen as well that's telling you, well, no, you have to protect. The sun is dangerous and the sun is this. What's the truth about the sun, Tim? How should our relationship be with the sun?
That's a great question. And before I get into it, I have to finish up a water topic.
Please.
So when people go and they're like, oh, I'm drinking alkalized water. And if you're buying alkaline water, not alkalized, because the water in the system we were talking about is actually alkalized. It's like night and day difference, not even the same ballpark. Alkaline water, a lot of times they just put baking soda in it. Okay. And if you read on it, it doesn't say for health, it says for taste. Okay. If you drink more than one of those a day, you're going to destroy your gut microbiome with all that baking soda.
Oh,
so you're actually thinking you're doing something good and you're just completely destroying your gut microbiome, which is a big part of your immune system. And it's all connected to the rest of your, it's connected. The gut microbiome is connected to the interferon system. It's connected to the neural system. It's connected to, the adaptive and innate system. So you're wiping out like a major part of your immune system buying expensive baking soda water. That's what's happening. Okay, now let's go to this awesome topic, which is the sun. So the truth is that the sun's put there for a reason, and it is the generator of all life. I mean, think about it. Without the sun, there would be no life. We'd be a frozen ball of ice spinning through space. So, and if you believe in God, then God put the sun there, right? So the sun is very important. And, we're going to talk about vitamin D and all that stuff, but the sun is not your enemy. It just depends on where you live and where your heritage are. So if you live up in Scandinavia, those people have very light, fair skin because there's just not a lot of sun up there, right? But if you live in Africa, you're going to have very dark skin because your family and generation after generation has been exposed to it. So we're just kind of like a chameleon, or you see those moths, like if the trees or bark is brown and the moth is white and it lands on there, the bird's going to go zoop and eat it. So over time, the moth changes to a brown color and it matches the bark right? So we're a part of nature and we adjust. And so our skins have adjusted depending on the amount of sun that we've had. But we definitely need sun. We're supposed to be outside all the time getting it because we're from nature, right? But people forget about that because we live in condos and high rises and we wear rubber soled shoes. We cover our bodies with synthetics and all this clothing and stuff like that, blocking these UV rays. And, and our health's going down. So the first thing to think about here is the sun is not bad. The sun does not directly cause skin cancer. What's happening is when you go out into the sun, what do? You perspire, you sweat. And when you're perspiring and sweating, you're actually detoxing. Your body is pushing out all these toxic chemicals that we just talked about that they're finding in the umbilical cord blood. Your body's intelligent. It's going to push that crap out. Then on the surface of the skin, now you have these toxic chemicals from the water you've drank and the showers you've taken and the food you've eaten and the synthetic clothing and the air you're breathing. And you're pushing that crap out in a concentrated form right on the surface of the skin. Now the UV rays hit those chemicals, and that's where the skin cancer begins. So if you're out so what you need to do is just, if you're out in sunshine, rinse off every 10, 15 minutes. Just rinse off again, rinse off, rinse off, rinse off. And unfortunately, it's a 2 to 3 year process of detoxification. That's why it has to be a daily detox and a lifestyle before you're going to get to the point where you won't have those chemicals coming out, because you'll be so far ahead of the curve. You have gotten all of them out, right? So your body can only release so many at a time. So it does take time. Now, the worst thing is that they use fear to shut down your prefrontal cortex and get you to go buy their sun blockers. Unfortunately, most of these sun blocking deals have cancer causing agents in them. So they're actually causing cancer, not just skin cancer, because you're putting it on your skin. It's going transdermal right into the bloodstream, no liver to filter it. So it's very upsetting. And these people should be, people should be in jail scaring people about skin cancer and having moms and dads buying something that causes cancer and then rubbing it all over their kids. All over their freaking kids. It's like the whole thing with the Purell and those kind of things too.
Yeah.
So anyway, the sun doesn't cause cancer. When it pushes out the toxins of your body through perspiration, and then those rays hit it, that's what causes it. And if you're going to wear sunblock, it has to be naturally occurring. It has to be edible. I will say this over and over again. If you cannot eat it, you should not put it on your skin. That's the litmus test for any skincare products. If it's not edible, it should not go on the skin, because it's going inside of your body no matter what, transdermal. Whether you eat it or transdermal it through the skin, it's going into your body and it will affect you.
It's counter to everything that we're being told on our televisions and in our advertising. But of course, that should be no surprise to us, because we know that we're being lied to by the media. We know we're being lied to by these large corporations. To find out that that the sunscreen that you're putting on your kids is dangerous is frustrating and criminal, but it also shouldn't really be that much of a surprise given what we know about these corporations. Hey, what's going on the Health Hero show?
Well, I'm talking about this stuff.
I know you are.
Anything health. I do want to give some people some ideas though, Charlie,
Please.
About the sun and stuff. So the best thing to do is go out. Number one is if you have dark colored skin and you're not a white dude like me and Charlie, you need about 15 to 20 times more sun. This is why lockdowns and quarantining is stupid, especially for somebody in dark skin, because 70% of people are already low in vitamin D, Charlie.
Yeah.
And this is a massive, massive nutrient for the body. It's not a vitamin, it's actually a hormone. We need it. So if you have dark colored skin and you're hiding out, that is a death sentence. Your respiratory infections, whether it's COVID or pneumonia or bronchitis or whatever, flus and stuff, all that stuff is going to go up, 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 and your chances of getting it and to last longer because you have lower vitamin D levels. If you just
I'm looking at the V stack right now, and I'm reading the nutritional label for vitamin D3. This is giving you 42%.
Well, that label is controlled by the FDA. So if people are going to read a label on V stack as an example,
mm-hmm.
They're going to be there's going to have to be an educational component, right? Because we're going against the whole grain of everything. Okay, and what I mean by that is like everybody out there, if you've been on the know on D3, pretty much everybody, most of the doctors and everybody's talking about you need about 4,000 to 5,000 IUs of it per day. Okay, mm-hmm. That's what everybody's talking about. And that's fine. But what they're talking about is 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 taken orally. And the reason why is because when it goes through the body orally, it's got to go through the digestive process. Now, anything right now, for most people going through the digestive process, you're only going to get pulled into the bloodstream about 10 to 30% of it, just because everything's so compromised in the digestive tract all the way through. Then we have another problem. With cellular inflammation, a lack of hydration on the cellular level, and poor lipid or fat membranes around the cells, we have major cellular absorption issues. People can get stuff into the bloodstream, but they can't get into the cell. This is one of the problems that diabetics are having. They can't get the glucose into the cell. It's staying in the bloodstream. That when they have high blood sugar, because the sugar can't get into the cell. And a lot of that is because they have the inflammation, the dehydration, and a really poor lipid membrane. So when you look at a product like V-Stack and you read it, you're going to look at it, you're going to like, oh, and I'm pulling it up right now because I'm going to look at the label. Let me zoom in on this. It says vitamin D3. Now, our vitamin D3 is actually from lichen. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to say 166.7 IUs. You're going to be like, wow, 166 IUs? That's nothing. That's not even close to 5,000. Well, it actually is. It's like 5 or 10,000 equivalent, because this product, you shake it up and it goes right through the mucous membrane, right into the bloodstream, and right into the cell. We've mechanically made the raw material so tiny they can go through the blood-brain barrier. So it's the equivalent, and that's how we were able, Charlie, to be able to get the vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin D3, the zinc, the quercetin, and this is actually a full multi-mineral formula. It's like all minerals, fulvic and humics, iron, it's all in there. So if you wanted to get just a good multi-mineral, that's this product, but it's also all the other ones. So it's literally, we've stacked 6 products together to help people boost themselves for harmful organisms, viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, all this stuff. It's about boosting the immune system. It's call it what you want. Vitamin Stack, Victory, we're going to leave the V up to whatever people want to allude to.
It's new, right?
It's brand new, and it says Defending Public Health on bottom. This is a Defending Public Health deal. So you just squirt it in your mouth morning and night, swish it around, wait 30 seconds. It disappears through the mucous membrane, and you are getting blasted with some of the most highest quality nutrients on the planet.
And it tastes good too. I have to confess.
That one tastes like orange.
With both of them, yeah, they taste like orange. Yeah, it's good. Tim, you're the best. I mean, I know this is a lot for people to digest, so to speak, but it's important for us. I mean, look, if you, for those out there that are interested in this is a really good episode to share with your friends and family, because we're all going to need to know as much of this as we can. There's not going to be a test. We're not, we're going
to have a test, sure.
You don't have to get out your number 2 pencil and your Scantron. The test is kind of up to the individual. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to take control of your health or not? Because nobody's going to get healthy for you. It's going to be your own mission to do it. Get yourself ready, feel the changes within your body. I can speak to this with personal experience. You've put me through the product, through the detox. I take Green 85 every single day, like to the point where my wife about 6 weeks ago said, "What are you?" Okay, she goes, "Okay, just tell me, what are you on? Like, what are all the things that you're taking?" And so I explained it to her, and she goes, "Okay, I want to start." So I didn't push her.
You change yourself and your world's changing around you. That's how it works, buddy.
She recognized the change in me, and then eventually just was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "This is what I'm doing." She said, "Show me how." So you're going to need to, you, the individual out there, you're going to need to take responsibility for your own health, your own education on health. Television's not going to do it. FDA is not going to save you. You're going to need to save yourself. I recommend that people go in wherever podcasts are available and take a look at the Health Hero Show, Tim James' show. He's you're over. I was on your 100th episode with
that's right.
with Sam and Pat Miletich, and we had a really great talk, the 4 of us, about the direction of health, the importance of it. So I think people should take a look at Health Hero Show, have that as an episode that you get automatically sent to you. Definitely go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's your company. You go to chemicalfreebody.com/macro and look, see the program that I went through or whatever. But look, It's important. It's the most important thing we can do. It reverses a lot of these issues that we have. You're not going to be, look, if you think you're going to take a pill to fix the problem that you have, that pill is going to create another problem that you're going to need to take another pill for. We know this. It's a trap. Pharmaceutical industry hates your guts. They need you to be sick. This is the exact opposite of what we're trying to accomplish. So this is the reason this is the reason why you've been on the show more than anybody else, because you're the most important guest I can have on, because you directly impact people's lives. And I appreciate the hell out of you for doing that, Tim. Tell us where people can find you and where they can follow your work.
Okay. And last thing about the sun, because I have to get this in, it's very important. Best time to get sun is in the morning hours. Okay. So if you think about, if we go back to how we were, like nomadic and picking food and stuff, you'd wake up in the morning and you go find food. So you're foraging. But when it got super hot out, you weren't out looking for food. You'd be under a tree. So this is why and then you'd come back out in the afternoon after the sun kind of went down a little bit lower and it got a little cooler. You come out, you'd forage again. Right. So this is why it's important. Get sun. It's early in the morning, later in the evening, and make sure that if you're in the heat of the day, you got big hats on, long sleeve shirts, and stay in the shade. But now, okay. And then to ask your question, the best place to find me is just at chemicalfreebody.com. And we were really about you guys becoming your own doctor, you learning how to self-heal, shut off the TV, turn off the fear. It lowers your immune system. Like literally it doesn't serve you. And just keep checking out shows like Macroaggressions. And hopefully you'll check out my podcast, The Health Hero Show. That's a free place to get education. If you have somebody dealing with something, you can look up titles and hopefully find a title in there. And if you don't find a title in there on a specific need, email us at support@chemicalfreebody.com and say, hey, get a guest on or somebody to talk about this, and I'll do it. And, because we're always looking for new ideas or things that are problems that people have. And we want to give you the solution so you can get those solutions handled yourself in your own home, feel empowered. And then, you become the change agent in your home and in your community as other people will start following your lead, just like Charlie's wife is following his.
That's Tim James, everybody. He saved his life by changing his diet. You can do the same thing. If you like this episode, you can take the additional step right now of sharing it with your friends and family. You can follow me on Twitter @macroaggression or go to the website, theoctopusofglobalcontrol.com. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.